exactly what I was telling you earlier. The benefits don't seem as real anymore. The benefits don't seem as real anymore. They don't seem as important. That's when we hear, well, I don't need, money doesn't buy happiness. If you were happy before money, money really adds to the happiness. Okay? Benefits don't seem as immediate. And the cost of changing is now becoming apparent. You become informed on the fact that things have to change if you want things to change. But the change seems far away. So then we get to the valley of despair. Anybody spend any time down there in their business? Emily, raise both them hands, girl. Raise them up. I love her. This is where in the valley of despair most people give up. Guys, you can see people do it in marriage. You can see them do it in fitness. You can see them do it in business. This is where you see ship jumpers. They decide that it's easier to go back to uninformed optimism at another company because, again, now the benefits seem real. The cost seems small. Guess where they'll end up again? Because no matter where you go, there you are. Okay? You guys, you want to know why people quit? It's a fast and easy way to end discomfort. Yes. People would rather be a quitter than a loser. They feel like that's their only option. I'm losing. They feel like I'm in the valley of despair. I'm losing. And at least if I quit, the pain will be over. So they convince themselves to go back to the way things were before. Wasn't really so bad. Living paycheck to paycheck wasn't so bad. So they go back up. Okay, but here's the thing. Guys, vision. Your responsibility as a leader when your team is in the valley of despair is to have vision. The reason that Brittany's leaders constantly climb out of the valley of despair is because her vision is so big. It's certainly not because we don't spend our fair share of time there. We could call that the valley of Emily and Christina. We spend a lot of time in the valley of despair, but I'm telling you, it never crosses our mind to go backwards because Brittany's vision is so big. So big. She knows that it's right within our grasp. So here's the thing, it's critical. Think of things in your life that you've wanted so badly. Being a mom, marriage, a college degree. So it's something that you, no matter what, giving up on that was not an option. You were willing to hang out in the valley of despair no matter how long it took. I always think about, I have a couple of friends who have some grown children who are recovered addicts, okay? And they spent years in the valley of despair with this situation, years upon years upon years, when really it probably would have felt easier for them to quit on that child, right? Now, healthy boundaries are key, but it would have been easier and just go back, be done with it. But they spent so long in the valley of despair because they had vision. They knew that if things worked out this way, that child could be recovered, right? And they would tell you that it's worth it. Okay, so wanting passionately to reach your vision, combined with commitment and tools, is the way through the valley to the next stage of change. I want to look at the bottom. You'll see where I wrote, people quit and repeat phases 1 through 3. That's repeatedly. Someone who is used to that, you will see that cycle play out in their life over and over. You'll also see it play out in their business. They'll be gung-ho for a while. Eventually they go back to phase 1. And then they'll say, this is my favorite message, I'm back. You are. Where'd you go? Right? So they're back, and then guess what happens? They're in the valley of despair. It's like they're surprised every time to end up there. They're in the valley of despair. And they just go back again. Several months later, I'm back. Okay? So, vision combined with commitment and tools is how you climb out of it. Then eventually you get to informed optimism. Okay? And I think about Emily like on a roller coaster. She's like, I've been at the bottom of this roller coaster a minute, and now she's going up, and literally this is her voice. Whee! Emily's so dang excited, y'all. I'm telling you, nothing could hold her back. Nothing. She's like, whee! She appreciates that. Okay, what happens at this phase is the likelihood of success feels much higher. Emily, you gonna be a diamond? Yeah. It feels much higher. You're back in an emotional positive state. You see that you're back over the optimism line. Isn't that way more fun, y'all, to be on the optimism line? Actions are starting to bear fruit. But guys, guess where you were when you were taking the action? You were in the valley of despair. People who come out of the valley of despair are the ones who never stopped taking action. It is just time and people pushing that takes them through. When you're in phase 4, the cost of the change, much less. Listen, Emily, like, kids, y'all better put yourself to bed. Mama in momentum. The cost is much less when you're in that phase 4. It's the same cost as phase 2, but it appears much less painful because you're on the other side of that optimism line. The key here is to not stop. This is exactly what Jamie and I were talking about. You end up in phase 4. That is not the time to stop. Success and fulfillment, that's the final stage, and it's going to look different for everybody. Success and fulfillment for me is 6 level 1 diamonds. You know how many times I have to go on this cycle? Probably a bunch. I'm okay with that. I got a map. How many of you, who was the first one up the mountain yesterday that put that picture in the chat? She warned us about the roads being curvy and it being real sketchy. We were much less relaxed because we knew what was coming. We had a map, we had a plan. You have a map and a plan. Expect that this will come. At phase 5, benefits of your new behavior is fully experienced, and that's when you're going, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. But remember, every time somebody tells you it's so worth it, at one point they were in phase 3. That's why you can trust them when they say it's worth it. And listen, some of y'all thinking, I'm sure you think it's worth it, Christina. I've been in phase 3. I spend the majority of my time there sometimes. It's worth it. Okay, every time you go through this stage and complete it, your confidence will grow. You'll have proven to yourself over and over, I can do this. I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I always say, listen, did you die? Did I die? I didn't die. I'm good. Every time you get through the stage, your confidence will grow. So resilience. Be the most resilient person on your team. Guys, if you don't put the D word on the table in your marriage, don't put the Q word on the table in your business. What is in my message? Just don't put it on there. Don't make it an option. All right, moving on to I. I stands for intensity. It's my other favorite word. My caption is anti-hustle ain't for me. All right, catch this. While consistency beats intensity when done over time, if consistency can collide with intensity, magic will happen. And if consistency can couple with intensity and then couple with duplication, momentum happens. So yeah, consistency will beat intensity. Sure. Consistency beats intensity when done over time. Consistency beats intensity. I should have done one of those like greater than, less than. Yeah. I got it. Consistency beats intensity over time. But if consistency can collide with intensity, magic happens. If you can work intensely, consistently, magic will happen. And guys, if you can work intensely, consistently, and teach people to do it with you, momentum happens. You want a formula, people say, tell me the formula. There's your formula. Consistency, intensely, with people. You cannot have a $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic. Your dream has to match your work ethic. So if you got a minimum wage work ethic, you probably made it as far as you're going to go. So something's got to change, your effort or your goal, one or the other. If you're hoping to make $35,000 a month, you've got to build it. You've got to build it. Listen, the guy who owned this mountain could have wished that this house was for him. He probably would have thought it'd be nice. He didn't stop there, though. He actually built it. I don't know, I'm curious how, but he built it. You have to sacrifice to grow this business. And I hear people say, well, you preach all about freedom and this and that, and I don't want to have to sacrifice what you've been willing to sacrifice. I say, okay, don't. But I'm willing to live like no people will live now, so that I can live like very few will ever get to. So if that's not what you want, don't get it. But don't let somebody tell you that the grass is greener somewhere else and you can bring your little bitty work ethic over there and they're going to give you thousands and thousands of dollars, because it's not true. If you want to be rewarded, make your efforts rewardable. Brainstorm things. Think about things, activities in your life that you've allowed to claim your time. You've decided you're busier than I am. Your life's more important than mine. You got more kids than me. Your husband's not supportive. You work a full-time job. You got to move. You're planning a wedding. You're having a baby. Someone died. Someone was born. There's a diamond in this room who's done all the same things. There's jewels in this room. Anybody had a smooth ride to diamond or jewel? Like none of those things happened? No. There are things that you're allowing to fill your time that you're justifying your inactivity.
That's right.
You have ownership. Learn to say no. You know what we're saying no to right now? Karate, gymnastics, t-ball. Saying no to those things. We cleared our calendar. I was like, this is ridiculous. Mama got dreams. They got a whole life that they can do what they want to do. They're 5 and 3. They want to sit down and be quiet. I'm just kidding. But for real, I literally had an epiphany. I'm like, I'm running myself ragged. I got to argue about putting karate clothes on. They could care less about showing up to gymnastics. They're twirling in the outfield at baseball. I realize I'm at baseball more for the friends that I'm meeting than I am for them playing. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? This is ridiculous. Clear the calendar. Stop it. You don't get to fill up your own calendar and then whine about it. Stop it. Say no. Guess what? Eventually, if you start saying no, they'll stop asking. That pastor at church that keeps asking you to do things because you've always been the yes woman, he comes to you because you're easy. I did not mean it like that. But think about it. You all have a friend, you need something done, and you're like, oh, I know if I ask her, she'll think you picked up. I'm running late. My friend will do it. She always does. Who do you call that friend? Quit making, it's not your job to make their life easy. They'll figure it out. They'll find somebody else to ask. Quit. Okay, so think about what can you do without, just for this season of your business. What needs to take a break? What changes do you need to make? If you change nothing, nothing changes. So unless you came here in full-blown momentum, you got all the leaders you could ever need, something probably got to change. Maybe that means you start ordering HelloFresh and making your 13-year-old cook supper. Y'all, that's me. And listen, several people on my team have started doing it. It's really amazing. I don't have to cook supper now. And listen, he's learning a life skill. And I'm like, listen, son, I could drop dead tomorrow and at least you know how to cook. Listen, if they can read, they can cook. Maybe macaroni. But I mean, start delegating. What can you change? What can you put into place? It's your job to create systems for your life. Somebody asked us earlier, I think it was Sabrina, maybe. What do you do? You have all these kids, what do? We have systems. We have systems in place. We don't live our life reactively. We're very proactive. We put things in place. Systems Guys, you must be willing to be the hardest worker on your team. If you're not willing to clear your calendar sometimes for things like this, no one on your team will either. Y'all don't go tell a new silver to clear their calendar. This is for leaders, right? All right, N. It doesn't stand for nonstop, I changed it. It changed for next best steps. It's because I learned something in Dallas last week. Okay, we're getting to the do part, Courtney. Here we go. You ready? I know. Right, there we go. All right, there's just a few things that make you money in this business, and you should work on those consistently and intensely. Number one, IPA. How many conversations are you actually having that involve the word plexus? If you're just building relationships, you're just building relationships. You're not building a business. How many conversations are you having every single day where you're actually discussing plexus? How many presentations are you getting in front of people every single day? If you're not getting a video in front of somebody every day, or an opportunity event in front of somebody every day, or a three-way call, or a Zoom, or if you're not presenting something to someone every day, you're not building a business. How many three-way calls are you doing for your downline? You notice I said for your downline.